Canada is now the #1 supplier of oil to the United States. Most of that oil is coming from the tar sands in northern Alberta.
When you switch from light conventional oil to something as dirty, ugly, and nasty as bitumen, business as usual has ended.
The tar sands are the biggest oil project in the world, but this is an oil industry with an insatiable thirst.
We use 3.3 barrels of water per barrel of bitumen.
To find out where this water is coming from, you have to go to the source. The source is the Columbia ice fields, where I've worked as a hiking guide for the past 20 years. This is a sacred place to me, but it's slowly becoming unrecognizable.
The glaciers are just almost being decapitated. If this is the sort of new reality, the whole thing will be gone.
We're going to know what water scarcity is all about.
200 days a year, we're going to wake up in the morning wondering if this is the day our community dies.
This billion-dollar company is saying we need to get more oil from the tar sands, but would increase it to 45 million liters per day of crude oil going through Jasper.
This is the most devastating oil industry on the planet, in my own backyard, and I knew nothing about it. This necessitated a journey. Over the course of 3 years, I uncovered evidence of major threats to half of Canada's water. It was a journey from ice fields to oil fields.
There's a bit of snow out there, David.
Yeah, a little bit. It's good travel, though.
Ken Nivia and I are hiking to the top of Mt Snowdome, the frozen source of the Athabasca River.
The ice loss in the last 10 years, 15 years has been more than anyone forecast. The last really good year where the glaciers gained some mass was 1977. So we're looking at about 30 years now of sort of sustained retreat. One of the most critical signs we've really seen on the glaciers is they're losing snow all the way to the top. They're just almost being decapitated. That this accumulation area where you're supposed to be banking some snow isn't even keeping its winter snow. That's a fairly new thing in the past few years. If this is the sort of new reality, you know, a lot of years like this, it just means that the whole glacier is way out of equilibrium. The whole thing will be gone.
See the peak over there? Mm-hmm. That's Mount Columbia, the tallest mountain in Alberta.
Now you can imagine that drop of water falling from that cliff down the lake and then down the river.
Got a long way to travel, like us.
Sean Marshall was the first person to explain to me what was going on 1,500 kilometers downstream of these ice fields.
It seems really scary to me how much water is needed for the oil sands operations versus the amount of snow and ice that can really be supplied to the Athabasca, the fossil fuel-based economy and consumers that are hooked on it are really driving the warming, which is driving the demise of ice fields like the Athabasca. And yet at the same time, the oil sands really depends on the water from this Athabasca River. It's a strange circular irony.
Nice work. All right.
Good job, Dana. Woo. Here we are.
This is kind of like the water summit of North America. It's like the Mount Everest of water resources.
Mt Snowdome is the hydrographic apex of North America. A drop of water born on its summit will end up in one of 3 oceans: the Arctic, the Atlantic, or the Pacific.
Water is a big focus on this trip. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to follow an imaginary drop of water from the hydrographic apex, Mt Snowdome, all the way to Lake Athabasca. So the entire Athabasca River watershed. So it's 1,538 kilometers in length. The idea is we're going to follow that drop of water and see what kind of things it gets subjected to.
Here at the headwaters of the Athabasca, we know that changes are taking place that will affect things downstream. That will affect what we can do downstream and how we can live there. Industries and others that are relying on the same amount of water existing now and for all time each year are making a mistake in their planning, because that's not going to happen. There's going to be less water, and we need to plan for it.
Came up to the water, put my feet into it, laid my heels in Jasper, felt the sand giving inch, all the people bathing, teeth became connected, smiling while we waited until the shower met.
Might have some rapids up ahead.
Take me down to the water, fill you up with tears to sorrows. That's my brother, John.
David is traveling down the Athabasca River to the tar sands, the second largest oil deposit in the world, where water is a commodity used in oil production.